Oh, and Doris said she couldn't make it today.
Doris, okay.
She had to, had to go to the doctor's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
I sent her the notice.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Ms. Orr.
How are you guys?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Good. I like that pink.
Oh, wow, thank you.
It's great. It's great.
Like a magenta color.
Is that magenta? Okay, okay. I should know that.
No, it kind of looks pink from the lighting.
Video.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
We ready to go?
I believe we're live.
Have 6.
No, I think we're live. Yep, we are live. So
Okay.
whenever you're ready.
We have 6.
We have at least 6.
Okay. I'm going to call the meeting to order for the Board of Trustees, April the 20th, 2026. And it is 4:32 p.m. Public School Retirement System of the City of St. Louis. And the order of business, we're going to do a roll call for attendance.
Christina Bennett. Candace Carter Oliver.
Present.
Lewis Cross.
Present.
Mary Donaldson.
Present.
William Heisey. He's going to be running late. Emily Hubbard. Emily, are you there?
Is she on the screen?
Yeah, she's.
Oh, Emily, you got your mute on.
Back. Shanice Johnson.
Present.
Yvette Levy. Jennifer Orr.
Present.
Albert Sanders.
Here.
Andrew Vian.
Present.
Doris Walker. All right, so we do have 7. We do have.
Great, okay. Approval of minutes of the last meeting. Tab 1, Board of Trustees, regular meeting, February the 9th, 2026. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes?
I make a motion to accept the minutes from February 9th, 2026.
All right, is there a second?
Second. Candace.
Okay, it's moved and properly seconded by Candace.
I have a quick discussion. Just a clarification. Should
Okay.
we be accepting them or approving them?
We would be approval. Did I say approval of the minutes of the last meeting? Maybe did I say acceptance? Well, anyway, approval of the minutes of the last meeting, which was February 9th. So it's been moved and properly seconded. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it. Moving on to reading of communications to the Board of Trustees. Do we have any?
I don't have anything.
Presentations by interested parties. We have any? Okay, consent agenda approval of retirements and benefits for March and April of 2026. Can I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the retirement benefits from March and April 2028. 26.
Yes, is there a second?
Ian, second.
Okay, it's been moved and probably seconded. All any questions, comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that's been approved. Now, approval of refunds and bills for February and March of 2026. Can I get a motion to approve? You all are just really loaded today with a whole lot of energy. Come on, I mean, Jesus, this is great. Can I get a motion? Mary?
I make a
Somebody. Okay. Who said that? Dr. Sanders?
Yeah, Dr.
I make a motion to approve Um, the bills and
Refunds and bills?
refund. Yeah, I make a motion to approve the refunds and bills.
V in second.
Okay. It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any
Aye.
abstentions? Okay, it passes. Thank you. Unfinished business, Sue, we have any?
I don't have.
Oh, we don't have any unfinished business. Report of the chairperson. We are doing, very well. It's, almost May and we've done the benefits process and package and, insurance and so forth and so on. And now we are gonna discuss our audit tonight, and we've had our, meeting with the investment committee, so things are really looking well. And the amount of, interest that we've gotten off of our, investments is really doing well. From the investment side, so, all in all, that's just the end of my report. Just thankful that everything is going well, and I just want to thank Executive Director Sue for making everything happen, because we know without her we'd be lost. So thank you so much, Sue.
Thank you.
Let's see. Next is the office update from the Executive Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had just a couple of items before we move into the audit presentation. Just a reminder that we have our LinkedIn page up and running. We've gotten up to 220 followers, which may not sound like a whole bunch, but we started off about a year ago with 28. So we have gotten more followers. We just want to keep that momentum going. We have our PR person that does posting 2-3 times a week. And then we have our Facebook page, which began at the end of last year. So that one we're only up to 34 followers. But just a reminder, we'll have that reminder coming out in the newsletter too. Just a reminder to everybody to make sure that, if you're out on Facebook, go to our page, the PSRS STL page. If you're a LinkedIn person, also go out to the PSRS STL site and follow that page as well. So just a reminder. And then conferences for this year. I will be sending out an email in the next couple of days to remind everybody about what the conferences are that are coming up. And we typically, how it works is we will send in the registration. So if you let me know which conference you want to attend, then we will submit the registration. We've got some things, I think registration is opening up now for the events that are coming up fairly soon. So we'll submit registration, and then it's up to the trustees to do their own travel and lodging. So make their own airfare, and then or if you're driving, we would pay mileage on that, and then make your hotel reservations. Usually the conference will have a discounted rate. You need a code. So we'll get all that sent out here in the next couple of days. So just be thinking about which conferences you might like to attend. There is a requirement that trustees do have at least 2 hours of continuing education. We try to do a little here, but again, it's not the same experience as if you are attending a conference and able to kind of network with other folks that do what you do. So just a reminder to watch out for that email, and those conferences, they are listed on the office update page. All right, so with that, I am going to introduce our team from Williams Keepers that we have been working with for the last, I guess, since January. It's been a minute, but So we have Nick, we have Kristen, and we have Darby here to present their financial statements and the auditor's report. So Nick, I guess I'll turn it over to you if you want to introduce your team.
You bet. That sounds great. Thank you, Sue. And hello, everyone. I believe that I met most of you late last year. So I guess I want to begin by thanking the Board of Trustees for your confidence in Williams Keepers to perform your financial statement audits and perform related procedures throughout the year. You know, we do understand the importance of this role, and we're just very thankful for you to give us the opportunity to work with you all related to your, financial reporting needs. So for those, sorry,
No,
are we
that
good,
was-
Sue? Okay.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Okay, all right. So for those of you who weren't on the call where we, presented our proposal late last year, I'm Nick Mestris. I'm an audit partner at Williams Keepers. I work out of our Columbia, Missouri office. On the call today, we also have Kristen Brown. She is a manager with our firm, and she was also on the call late last year. And then the third person joining today is Darby Christian. She's an audit senior with us, and she is our audit in charge for the PSRS STL engagement and works with other of our PERS clients as well. So we do have a PowerPoint prepared that we'll go through. It's mostly at a high level. And we did that intentionally. We don't want to get too deep in the details with things that the board may not be overly concerned about. So we do want this to be interactive. So as we go through the presentation, if you have questions, do not feel like you need to wait until the end to ask them. Feel free to interrupt as much two-way dialogue as we can have. We feel that it creates the best communication style to go through the audit results. So any questions before we begin? Okay, so briefly, I want to touch on what
Pick your presentation up, Nick, so you just tell me when and where to advance it.
Okay, perfect. I was just going to say, Sue, when you were talking about continuing education for your board of directors, I do believe some of your board might go to MAPERS on an annual basis, but I will just say that that's a great opportunity, to stay up to date with the current ongoings of the defined benefit plans, but also to make connections with other retirement systems within the state of Missouri. And it's at the Lake of the Ozarks. It's a nice venue. Our team goes there every year, and we do find quite a bit of value in it. So I would just say, maybe for those board members who haven't attended that in the past, consider going. I think it's a really beneficial and well-received conference. Because anyway, with that aside, I'm going to turn it over to Kristen to go through the audit results.
Thanks, Nick. So you can go to the next slide. So first, I'm just going to talk through, the audit areas for a benefit plan. At a very high level, these are the main areas that we focus on when we are performing a financial statement audit. So we look at contributions and we test them for completeness and accuracy. For your plan, we did send confirmations to the participating employers to ensure that the money that they sent to the plan agrees to what the plan recorded. So support from a third party is one of the best pieces of audit evidence we can obtain. Adding on to that, the next area we look at is investment and investment income. We also send confirmations related to those balances as well, specifically for your alternative investment portfolio. So specific to the plan, that would be your separately managed mutual funds and commingled funds, as well as the real estate and limited partnerships. So we're testing, valuation, existence of those investments, and completeness of the investment portfolio and related investment income. This is where we spend, the great majority of our time testing activity and balances. We also look at benefit payments to ensure proper eligibility, that the calculations of benefit payments were accurate, and there was proper authorization. So we do detailed control testing over those benefit payments. We look at a sample of 25 participants that are receiving benefit payments to ensure that they're being calculated and they're eligible and have proper authorization. We also look at the participant data, so the census data, ensuring it's accurate and complete for active and retired members. We have a program that essentially allows us to test 100% of the population. So we can compare census files from one year to the next and identify any anomalies or anything that looks unusual, whether someone is on a retiree file one year and then the active file the next year. And then we can discuss any, like I said, any anomalies with Sue and their team to ensure that the participants are on the correct census data. We also look at liabilities and plan obligations, so reviewing the actuary valuation and total pension liability. We also have a third-party actuary that reviews your actuary report. As we are not actuaries, but they provide any feedback and suggestions and recommendations after their review. And lastly, we look at administrative expenses, looking at the reasonableness of those expenses and just doing various analytics over those balances. You can go to the next slide. This slide just covers the scope of our work. So this presentation is focused on the financial statement audit that we performed as of December 31st, 2025. But we've also been engaged to perform the payroll audit agreed upon procedures, the GASB 68 pension schedule audit, and the trustee elections. And go on to the next slide. This slide talks about the auditor reports that are issued. Again, this presentation is going to focus on the financial statements. So I'll cover the independent auditor's report, the communication letter to the Board of Trustees, and the management letter. But we will issue various other reports as a part of the additional procedures that we'll perform throughout the remainder of this year. And go to the next slide. Okay, the independent auditor's report. So this is, in our opinion, the most important piece of the financial statements. It provides our opinion on the financial statements. It starts out again with that opinion. It identifies the financial statements, the time frame, and the entity. This year we issued an unmodified or a clean opinion on the financial statements, which is the best opinion that you can receive as a part of a financial statement audit. It notes that the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Following the opinion is the basis for our opinion. So it notes that the audit is conducted in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, that WK is independent of the system, and that we obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence to be able to render the unmodified opinion. Following that is management's responsibility. So management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements. Now, we did prepare the financial statements, but have provided them to management for their review and approval. Management is also responsible for the design, implementation, and maintenance of internal controls, as well as evaluating going concern of the system. Then following that is the auditor's responsibility. So we are responsible to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free of material misstatement. It also discusses our audit process, our risk assessment process, and our process around internal controls. And then we also include our going concern evaluation. Following that is just a few additional items of information related to the required supplementary information that's included in the reports, as well as the supplementary information. Next slide, please. This slide talks about the management's discussion and analysis, which follows that opinion letter in the financial statements. The management's discussion and analysis is a required item to be included in the financial statements, and it really just covers the key financial highlights of the system. So if you were to look at nothing else in the financial statements or read nothing else in the financial statements, the management's discussion and analysis is a great piece of information to read because it provides just what happened during the year and comparing that to previous years. So total assets and deferred outflows for the fiscal year December 31st, 2025 amounted to $948.7 million. This is an increase of $69.6 million compared to the prior year, or 7.92%. This resulted in net position of $946.6 million, an increase of $69.5 million, or 7.93% compared to the previous year. A lot of this was a result of net investment income of $112.1 million, which resulted as there was a 13.53% investment return. We've included the prior year funded ratio as the draft reports that you have received do not include the updated 2025 information from the actuary quite yet. But before we issue the financial statements, we will update the financial statements to include that 2025 information. So the key drivers to these changes, there was positive investment return across all asset classes. Employer and member contributions increased $1.7 million to $71.5 million, mainly driven by an increase in member compensation. And then retirement benefits decreased $832,000, mainly due to a decrease in members eligible to receive benefits. Can go to the next slide.
So we don't have the funded status yet for 2025. So sorry to disappoint anyone who was hoping to see that number today. Sue, I don't know if you have insight into that. Obviously the 13.5% rate of return exceeded your assumed rate of return. So that's a positive. I'm not sure if there was any other or if there were any assumption changes that may create a headwind to offset that. And obviously you have a 5-year smoothing schedule, so you won't get credit for that full 13% this year. But all things constant, I'm assuming that your funded status will go up from the 70.5 that was reflected last year. Do you agree with that, Sue?
Yeah, it should. We have 2022 was a pretty bad investment year, so we're still experiencing that loss. That was smoothed out, so we're still going to see that. But I think after 2022, all was positive. So
yeah, no, 4 out of the 5 most recent years, you exceeded your assumed rate of return, but by a fair amount. So that's great, and you will have that anchor of 2022 for one more year, and then it'll roll off, and you have 3 consecutive years of rate of return exceeding your assumptions. So you should have a nice nest egg to support an increased rate of return for future years. Obviously, you can never predict what's going to happen. I know 2026 has been a roller coaster so far. I think overall it's net positive, but not by 7%. So,
yeah,
some work to do in the second half. And that's, I'm just talking about, the Dow Jones or S&P 500 that are right around 2%. Obviously, with your fixed income portfolio and your alternatives, you're not going to track directly along with that. But regardless, it's been, a little bit of an interesting year from a investment perspective so far.
we have a question from Dr. Oliver.
Yes,
Okay.
thanks. I think Nick pretty much asked the question I was going to ask, which was basically any leading indicators, or anything we can look at to see how we might, where we would land, relative to that 70% funded ratio, whether we would be up, so any assumptions we could make, and then what might be some data we would, determine that would help us determine that. And I'm hearing past years. I'm hearing 2022. We see the volatility, so far in 2026, but, hoping that things turn. I just wanted to just explore that, but my question's been answered. Thank you.
And we should
Yeah.
have the information from the actuary with the real number here pretty soon, hopefully.
Yeah, it should be within the next couple days, I would assume. So,
Yeah.
obviously Sue will get that information into the board's hands as soon as it's known. But I can't imagine, just based on my experience with, other prudent assumption changes going on right now, that there would be enough that would offset the strong investment returns that you've had over the 5 years that would prevent that funded ratio from going up from the 70.5 that it was at last year.
Yeah, Nick, I totally agree. Even if it's a small bump, we'll drop, what did you say, Sue, 22?
Yeah, 22 was a bad year.
So we'll drop 21 and pick up 25? Or drop 22?
Yeah, no, we won't drop 22
No.
just.
Yeah, we won't drop 22 yet, but it'll add. So I mean, it'll add. We've had good years since then, but 22 was COVID years. So we should get a small bump, but not a big bump until 28. We'll get a big bump when we totally drop off 22.
There you go. Yeah, 22 was 11.4% to the bad.
Yeah.
So that's, that's a pretty big, obviously that's going to stretch out over 5 years, but that will create some headwinds against these other 4 years that all exceeded the assumed rate of return. But if we just compare 2025 to 2020, so 2020 rolled off completely last year, and that was a 10% rate of return.
Mm-hmm.
So you replaced a 10% with a 13.5% this year.
Cool.
Yeah, and of course they, smooth the good years out too. So we
Right.
don't get full credit for those yet either. So, but it helps to have a lot of good years.
Right. I mean, again, the way I see it is you drop a negative 2 point something and you pick up a plus 2 point almost 3%. Well, 2.5 or something plus. So it'll be a slight, but not much until we drop off totally 22.
I have a quick question.
Yep.
Can you remind us, Nick, the 70.5% funded ratio, that's a very important statistic. Where does that put us with respect to like the generalized like high risk or like being underfunded or moderately underfunded or not so underfunded? Like, does that categorize or get classified in any sort of capacity?
Sure. So 70.5 is not bad. Ideally north of 80 is where, in my opinion, you really want to be. I believe that 70% is the threshold for being on the watch list, if you will, which, there's nothing magical about being on that list or not. But you are included in reports that show those pension plans on the watch list. And obviously, you prefer not to be on that list. So staying above 70 is important from a public perception perspective. But in general, like I said, north of 80 is where, we really like the plans that we work with to be. We understand that sometimes there's headwinds that could have occurred many years ago that can create long-term headwinds. And obviously, changing contribution rates, there's only so many levers that you can pull to increase your funded status. You have your investment returns and your assumed rate of return there. So exceeding that assumed rate of return helps. You can always increase contribution rates, which is easy for me to say, and it's a challenge to implement. And then, obviously the third consideration is reducing benefit payments for new hires, and I know that is, or the calculation, I know that's not as well. That's not desirable as well. So it takes time to turn a ship sometimes. So let's see. Shoot, I wish I did prepare a little bit better for that. Kristen, what page is the funded status over the last 10 years on?
Oh,
It would be in the RSI.
As he's looking for that. And also the funded status on how our retirees can get a COLA. I think it doesn't have to be over 80%. Am I right about that?
Yeah, it does have to be over 80%, and then there has to be, the actuary has to, do a report and certify that it is not harming the plan by giving a cost of living. So you really have to be above 80%, a good portion, because you have to remain above 80% in order to get that cost of living adjustment.
Yeah, so it looks like you've been consistently around 70% over the last 10 years. It definitely goes up and down, depending on the market value of your assets any given year. Again, the 3 consecutive years of exceeding your assumed rate of return, barring a very large loss year, you should have some opportunity to increase that funded status over the next few years. I might have talked in a circle there. Did I answer your question at all?
No, that's great, Nick. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions before we move on? Okay, go ahead, Kristen.
you can go to the next slide. This slide identifies, the key footnotes in the financial statements. So the format and order might look a little bit different from the prior year report, but all required information is included, and a lot of the information is consistent with the language included in the prior year report. So the first note is just the plan description, cost sharing multi-employer defined benefit plan with over 14,000 members. Note 2 talks about the accounting policies of the plan, using the accrual basis of accounting. The investments are measured at fair value. Again, no changes in accounting policies from the previous year. Note 3 is the most significant and most lengthy footnote, which discloses all information related to deposits and investments. So the fair value hierarchy, the interest rate risk, credit rate risk, concentration risk. Notes 4 through 5 talk about capital assets and occupancy. So the capital assets of the system include building, leasehold improvements, and there is a new category this year entitled capitalized implementation stage outlays that are related to subscription-based information technology arrangements. A lot of words there, but that mainly means the implementation costs related to the Pension Gold system. So once that system has been fully implemented, the entire cost related to that will be capitalized and amortized over the useful life. So that is just something different than the previous year. And then note 5 talks about the rental income related to the lease of the building. Note 6 and 7 disclose the net pension liability of employers and the retirement plan of the system, the total and net pension liabilities for both plans, as well as the discount rate sensitivity analysis. And then the remaining notes just provide other information related to the plan, the funding status, various risks, and insurance coverage. Okay, you can go to the next slide. I guess any questions over the financial statements as a whole before I go on to the additional letters that we issue? Okay, the first letter we issue is called the Communication to the Board of Trustees. So our professional standards require that we provide this communication to those charged with governance, and as the board, you serve that role. The start of this letter talks about the plan, scope, and timing that was communicated at the beginning of the audit, as well as in the engagement letter. Following that are the significant audit findings. So as I mentioned, there were no changes in accounting policies during the year. This letter also discloses any new accounting standards that were required to be implemented. So GASB 102 relates to certain risk disclosures. It was required to be implemented during the current fiscal year, but it did not have an impact on the financial statements. GASB 103 relates to financial reporting model improvements, and GASB 104 relates to the disclosure and classification of certain capital assets. Both of those standards will be effective and required to be implemented in fiscal year 2026. So we can work with Sue and her team to determine if those will have an impact on the system's financial statements. We also disclose any significant estimates, and we reviewed those estimates and deemed them reasonable. So the most significant estimates affecting the system are the fair value of investments and the actuarial information. We noted that the disclosures are clear and appropriate, and all required disclosures are included in the financial statements. We had no difficulties in performing the audit and no disagreements with management. Changing auditors is a very big lift, and so we had a lot of questions for Sue, and I'm sure she had a lot of questions for us, and we had no problem in working through those questions or had any issues. So they were very well prepared for us, and we appreciate all the time that they put in to be prepared, as we feel the audit went very smoothly. We did identify one past adjustment related to employer and member contribution receivables. So upon further review and discussion with management, we determined this adjustment was immaterial to the financial statements as a whole. So that adjustment is included in this letter. And additionally, there is a list of all other audit adjustments that were approved and posted by management included in this letter as well. Okay, you can go on to the next slide. The last letter we issue is the management letter. So this letter talks about our consideration of internal control. So we do consider internal control over financial reporting as a basis for designing our audit procedures, but we do not express an opinion on internal control in general. We do evaluate the design of controls and determine whether they were implemented. And we also tested the effectiveness of certain controls related to benefit payments and alternative investments. There were no material weaknesses identified in internal controls. If there were material weaknesses, they would be communicated to you within this letter. But like I said, no material weaknesses were identified. We did identify a few other recommendations that are included in this letter, essentially just best practices that management may consider implementing in the future. Any questions about either of these letters or anything else in general?
I had a quick question about the reconciliations and this may have been specified, I'm not sure. Would the recommendation be around 30 days? What would be specifically recommended or best practice for reconciliations?
We were thinking quarterly would be appropriate for the limited partnership and the real estate funds. There's always going to be a lag in reporting on those investments. So it's going to be very difficult to have the most up-to-date information, but we do think quarterly is appropriate there. And then we also are going to work with Sue this summer. The prior CPA firm provided a template for PSRS to use to track investment income for certain investments. We think that needs to be tweaked a little bit. So we do plan to perform more work, once things calm down a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
You had a question.
You bet.
Yeah, this is Andy. I just had one question on the contribution remittances, like the timing and whatnot. I know we had a past entry related to some of the receivables, but I'm just curious, there's 4.2 million outstanding at 12/31. So is that, how many months of receivables is that? And I know there's a recommendation to kind of draft a policy, I think, to maybe perhaps tighten expectations with schools to remit contributions more timely. So I'm just kind of curious. One, just how many months worth of receivables is that? And two, what is your recommendation for, contribution timeliness? And I guess what did you observe in your audit with respect to average timeliness?
You bet. Sue, do you want to talk about that now, or we had mentioned a closed session last week. Are we gonna do that, or what
Yeah,
is your preference?
Yeah, that's probably best if maybe we discuss that when we go into closed session, which shouldn't be too much longer.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
Super. So that's all the prepared material that we have. Happy to entertain any questions or general conversation. Otherwise, we will have an opportunity to talk in more detail shortly.
Awesome, thank you.
And I also did want to thank Miata, our accounting specialist. She's here in Zoom as well today, but thank her for all of her work and efforts that go into creating the financial statements. It's a lot. So appreciate everything she does.
Thanks, Miata.
Thank you, Miata, so much.
Welcome.
Okay.
So that, if you don't have anything else, that conclude my report.
Okay. So let me get back on the saddle here. So that concludes the executive director. Do we have a report from the investment consultant?
We do not.
We do not. Actuary?
We do not.
We do not. A report of the committee, of the committees of the board. Benefits committee report? Is there a report from benefits?
Good afternoon. I'm in a session, but if you all, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, I have on earbuds. I didn't know if my co-chair persons or people wanted to give the report, so I didn't want to speak out of turn. Emily or Mary?
I can give the report for you
Thank-
if you're
Yes, thank you.
doing double duty.
Thank you.
Right.
Right, let me get back to it. Okay. So for benefits, there are no RFPs planned this year for medical, dental, vision, prepaid legal, and identity theft coverages because we did it last year or earlier this year. Our insurance consultant is looking into life insurance as a voluntary option for retired members. We get this request every so often. So we've looked at it before and it didn't fit the plan, but we're looking again. Any recommendations from the insurance consultant will come up in August. So thank you, Sue.
Okay, thank you, Emily. Thank you so much. And Shanice. Okay, we'll move on to trustee business. I don't have the names of who they are, but that's Sue.
I don't think we have a report.
I don't.
Oh, okay, no report on the trustee business. Okay, of course, Christina, you have anything to add? We just had our investment committee meeting.
Hold on. Am I on mute?
No, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to see. Yes. So if you see in front of you, we have two motions that we discussed at our last investment meeting, definitely on March 19th. We discussed the rebalancing of the portfolio as recommended by our consultant Mariner, and that is the first resolution that we need to get a motion on. If someone could read that for me, I would greatly appreciate it.
This is VN. I motion to approve the rebalancing plan for the proposed target asset allocation as presented by investment consultant Mariner and recommended by the investment committee at the March 19th, 2026 meeting.
Is there a second?
Bennett, second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. We want to get a roll call vote.
Yeah, if there's no other discussion.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Comments or discussion? Okay, we'll get a roll call vote on that rebalancing motion.
Christina Bennett,
Yes?
Candace Carter Oliver,
Yes.
Lewis Cross.
Yes.
Mary Donaldson,
Yes.
William Heisey,
Yes.
Emily Hubbard,
Yes.
Shanice Johnson,
Yes.
Yvette Levy,
Yes.
Jennifer Orr,
Yes.
Albert Sanders,
Yes.
Andrew Vian.
Yes.
All right. So we do have 11. The motion carries.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. For those of you that did not attend the last investment meeting, we discussed that one of our managers, TCW, is looking to offer a rate concession. They're changing the way that they would charge us, and they would lower our annual investment fee structure, I think by 38 basis points. It is. I'm not sure if that's correct. Was it 38 or 48?
I think 38.
I think it was 38 basis points, because they're looking to go from a free structure to a performance pay structure. And so we thought it was a better deal for us. And our consultant recommended that we move to this new fee structure, which will um, help our bottom line. So in front of you, you see the second motion that is in front of us. If someone could read that, I would greatly appreciate it.
This is VN. I motion to approve the new TCW fee structure outlined in their March 18th and 19th emails as recommended by the investment consultant and the investment committee at the April 16th, 2026 meeting.
Is there a second?
Bennett?
Okay, questions, comments, concerns? Questions, comments, concerns? Questions, comments, or concerns? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote.
Christina Bennett,
Yes?
Candace Carter Oliver,
Yes.
Lewis Cross.
Yes.
Mary Donaldson,
Yes.
William Heisey,
Yes.
Emily Hubbard,
Yes.
Shanice Johnson,
Yes.
Yvette Levy,
Yes.
Jennifer Orr,
Yes.
Albert Sanders,
Yes.
Andrew Vian.
Yes.
Okay, so again, we have 11, the motion.
Okay, the motion carries. We can move on. Chris, you have anything else?
No, I do not. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Legislative rules and regulations. Is there a report?
That me?
Yes.
No,
No,
not yet.
no,
Angie.
not yet.
everybody.
Not yet, Angie.
The trustee,
Okay.
the trustee meeting, the trustees.
All
Is
right.
there a report?
Doris isn't here.
Doris is not here. She's had a
And
doctor.
but Dr. Levy is on that.
And Dr. Levy, do you all have a report?
I do not have anything.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, and lastly, personnel and professional contracts.
Dr. Oliver and
Dr. Oliver.
Yes, I think there should have been a document in the board packet. Thank you, Sue. What it looks like we have done is just updated the proposed RFP or request for proposal schedule. So I believe what we did is just update it. Obviously, tonight we heard from Williams Keepers regarding the audit. Yes, so we're on schedule for that. And it looks like we've got 3 up and coming RFPs that are in bold there. Is that correct, Sue?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so we see the actuarial firm, the investment consultant, Mariner, who we work with, and benefits consultant, Gallagher,
Yeah.
which we've heard from as well. What am I missing, Sue, or is there anything else that we need to share?
That's it.
Yeah, I think just wanted everyone to be aware it's going to be kind of a busy RFP year and probably some additional meetings. I'm going to work with the co-chairs on a schedule and try to spread it out. But those are two, especially the actuary and the investment consultant, those are two
Two big
obviously
ones, yeah.
very important ones. So there will be some, additional meetings throughout the year as we work through that RFP process.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Olive. Okay, moving on. Do we have any new business, Sue?
I don't have any new.
All right,
business.
report of the attorney. So we're gonna go into executive session, is that right?
Yeah, I think that's.
Okay, so
let me
get that motion up in a minute.
Yeah.
Do you need me to share that, Sue?
If you want to, that's fine.
All right.
Yeah, the number 4.
Yeah. Share my screen. Can you all see that?
Yes. Okay. We want to get someone to read the number 3.
No, number 4, right?
I'm sorry, number 4.
Number 4.
Yeah.
Close the meeting, yes. I'm sorry. Okay, who wants to read number 4?
I make a motion to close the meeting and that all records and votes to the extent permitted by law pertaining to and or resulting from this closed meeting be closed under revised statutes Missouri 610-021 for the purpose of having a confidential and privileged communication with the legal counsel for PSR SSTL on legal matters.
We have a second?
V second.
Okay, it's been moved and probably seconded. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Questions, comments, or concerns? Last time, questions, comments, or concerns? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote.
Christina Bennett,
Yes.
Candace Carter Oliver,
Yes.
Lois Cross,
Yes.
Mary Donaldson,
Yes.
William Heisey,
Yes.
Emily Hubbard,
Yes.
Shanice Johnson, Yvette Levy,
Yes.
Jennifer Orr,
Yes.
Albert Sanders,
Yes.
Andrew Dean.
Yes.
So we do have 10, the motion carries. Just give me a moment. So Christina, if you want to share your document.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the one I should have been sharing.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay,
Okay, let's confirm we're live.
so just waiting for you to click us up. And we get out of here, 7 o'clock. No, it's 6:54.
Okay. All right, we are live.
Okay, so we're ready for adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting on April 20th, 2026 at 6:55 p.m.
Okay,
Second.
there's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
folks, you all, thank you so much for your time, and we got a lot done today. And appreciate you all so much. You all
Okay,
have a good
Have
evening.
and Dave,
Have
if
a
you
good
see
evening.
promotions, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, I will do that. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Angie.